Hi, my name is Frank. It's Friday. Today, open the mail. Plus, I gotta show you this example of a CD. Every CD should be packaged like this one. All right, before we get into the mail, I gotta tell you, I've been listening to this album a lot lately. The 1982 release from Judas Priest, Screaming for Vengeance. I'm gonna say it, this is the perfect early 1980s heavy metal album. Nowadays, some of the tracks on here probably would not be considered heavy metal. They lean more hard rock, but at the time, yeah, it was most definitely heavy metal. The songwriting is flawless. Rob Halford's in his prime. KK and Glenn are working so well together, man. The whole package is so good. Here's my original Canadian pressing, but I got a few other ones. I got this Mobile Fidelity one from a few years ago. Got a Japanese one with the original poster. So good. And beyond the big tracks, right? Like, I Never Need to Hear You Got Another Thing Coming or Electric Eye Again. There's so much depth to this record. If you haven't checked it out ever, or if you're not familiar with it, do yourself a favor, Screaming for Vengeance.
Love vinyl? Tell the world with a Channel 33 RPM t-shirt. Check out the Channel 33 RPM store today.
Okay, I got this compact disc in the mail from Rob in New Brunswick, Canada. I'll show you in a second, but let's check out the note. Always love the notes. It says, hey Frank, hope you and your family are doing well. A friend of mine, Derek Christie, is in this band called Mayday Music, and this is their first CD. He says, when I ordered it from him, I decided to get two so that I could send one along to you. I also asked them to sign it for us. So awesome. Thank you very much, Rob. The actual CD is signed. It's in my player right now there. He says, I know your preferred genre of music is heavier stuff, but give this a spin and see what you think. I think it's going to be something that you'll like. Truth. Given that you're open to many different styles of music. He says, Derek and I worked together at Sunrise Records way back in the day in the mid-1980s. That's how we met. He was manager of their flagship store on Yonge Street in Toronto. So those were awesome days to be working in a record store, no doubt, man. Thanks to the great content on your channel. From a New Brunswicker to a Manitoban. Enjoy, my friend. Awesome. Thank you very much, Rob, for thinking of me. Here is the CD he was referring to. This is Miracles and Sin from the project called Mayday Music. So the music on here, this is a hard one to nail down. It's rock, but it's not. It's atmospheric, it's layered, it's part Leonard Cohen, part Dylan, part Dave Matthews, maybe a little bit of later day Pink Floyd, and even those comparisons just do not do this band, this project, this compact disc justice. This album was recorded in 2020 to 2022 during the various COVID lockdowns. Interesting album. I'm digging it. I've given it a few listens. I'm kind of digging that whole atmospheric vibe. It's called Miracles and Sin from Mayday Music. Thank you very much, Rob. I really do appreciate it. Well. This one was pretty wild. I got two packages in the P.O. box. I was like, what is this? Then I read the note. This comes from Mike. He's in Canada as well. British Columbia on the West Coast. He says, hi Frank, been watching the channel for a few years now, since the beginning of the pandemic. Awesome. Thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate it. He said, I thought it was time to put you on another music path. All right, so I'm intrigued, man. I am intrigued. He says, this band is one of the most successful groups in the UK, relatively unknown in North America. They have released, this is crazy, man, they have released over 100 singles, 33 studio albums, and have sold around 120 million records. They are still active in 2022, selling out festivals across the UK and Europe. By 1975-76, they were the biggest UK rock band, but North American radio ignored them. If you haven't guessed it, the band we're talking about is Status Quo. He says the few tours they did with Aerosmith, Kiss, ZZ Top, Sabbath, etc. went down well with the fans, but no record sales. Enjoy and turn it up. Probably sent this to me back in October, and there's a pile of stuff, including two burned DVDs. I don't have a DVD player on my computer, so I tried it on the Xbox. They're burned DVDs. One worked, one didn't. I tried it on my Blu-ray player. That other one still didn't work, and I don't have a drive on my computer, so I couldn't watch one of the discs. Anyway, Mike sent this book, Status Quo, over and done. So I would say status quo. That's how I would pronounce it. But in an email to me, Mike said, that's the North American way. In the UK, they say status quo. So these guys are status quo. So there you go. Anyway, it's mostly a picture book. It's mostly a picture book with some information on the band. But yeah, I did read it, so it's cool. And this came with various prints of the band. So yeah, that was awesome. For those of you who don't know, Status Quo was formed back in 1962. They were originally called the Scorpions. They changed the name to the Status Quo in 1967 and just Status Quo in 1969. And they are still active. They are still touring, at least the surviving members. Rhythm guitarist Rick Parfitt, who joined in 1967, passed away in 2016. Founding bassist Alan Lancaster died in 2021. But as I said, the band soldiers on. Vocalist guitarist Francis Rossi has been there since 1962 and just keeps on rocking. So let's talk about some of these albums. Which one should we start with? Let's start with Rockin' All Over the World, the collection. This is a best of. And I was trying to figure out who to compare this band to. I was trying to find an example I could relate to. A Canadian example. They're kind of maybe like April Wine. One of those rock bands that's been around forever. And even if you don't know them, once you start hearing some April Wine songs, I'll say like, yeah, okay, I know that. Same with this. I started recognizing some of the tracks right away, including the hook, Laden, Whatever You Want. There was Down Down with its infectious chorus and the rock and roll boogie woogie of Rockin' All Over the World. Yeah, I can totally see why these were hits. Okay, here's one that Mike sent over. This is Status Quo. This is their 7th studio album, just called Quo. It was released in 1974, and it was one of their heaviest albums. Still, ultimately, this is blues-based rock and roll, 1-4-5 chord progressions. I mean, really traditional, as I said, yet catchy rock and roll. Same kind of rock and roll that was popularized by Chuck Berry and later by the Beatles. And the torch was carried by bands like this, Status Quo. Here's another one Mike sent over. This album's called On the Level. And I'm going to talk about the compact discs in a second, but I love the packaging and that they did on these reissues with the Obi strip. It's just really well done. This was released in 1975. It was their 8th studio album. It charted at #1. And check this out. This is Blue For You. This is their 9th studio album, released in 1976, another #1 album. And this one was probably my favorite of the batch. You just see more raw, maybe more gritty. And the opening track, Is There a Better Way? It's almost punk-like. But the other thing I want to talk about is the packaging of these releases. And as I said, as I hinted and alluded to at the beginning of this video, I wish more compact discs were packaged like this. I think people would buy so much more. I mean, just looking at this, the artwork is great, but it comes with the Obi strip. I think you would call this a mini LP. It's definitely designed to look like a record. There's the back. Oops, sorry. You open it up and there's the gatefold. But the cardstock that they use on this is really thick. Those digipacks they use nowadays drive me nuts. They're just so disposable. But this is thicker. This would be thicker than the jacket on a record, on an LP. It's just, this is so nice. This is the kind of, I do have some outer sleeves. I occasionally put compact discs in outer sleeves, and this is something I would put in an outer sleeve. As I said, I wish as much money and time and effort was put into more CD reissues. I mean, this is a great example. And inside we had the custom inner. My only qualm with this one is that the writing is so small. This was I assume the LP inner shrunk down, and it's so small it's hard to read. But then the CD itself is black like an LP, and it's made to look like a record. I mean, the music is cool, yeah, obviously, but I just love the attention to detail that Status Quo's record label put into these releases. I mean, it is really second to none. And the other one Mike sent over just totally spoiled me. This is Status Quo Live. This was their first live album from 1976. I dug it, but the band seems really split on this release. Whether it was horrible or whether it was great. I think it's a cool listen. I love hearing bands in their element. And this one seems pretty live. I don't know. There's so much studio trickery going on and so many live albums. You don't really know how live they are. But I thought this was a really cool live album. So Mike, thank you very much for introducing me to Status Quo. As I said, I got these like 6 weeks ago. I've been sinking my teeth into them. I've been listening to them. I've heard all of them 2 or 3 times already. And it's an instant Status Quo collection, right? So I have more listening to do to wrap my head around this. It's great. And the packaging of these is great. I mean, I really, really wish that more record labels would put this much thought into compact discs. I think they would be more collectible and they would get more people buying these discs. Would cool packaging encourage you to buy more compact discs? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of the weekend. I'll be back again on Sunday. Until then, keep on spinning.